This is a Caprino studio production, and I'm your host, Arun Sridhar. On behalf of all of us in the production team, I want to welcome you to another episode of our immersive production. So please wear your headphones or use an appropriate sound device to listen to the podcast. It is only right that you get to hear the episode in the way we intended it to be. Let's start then, shall we? We all have at some point in our childhood daydreamed of famous personalities or a superhero that we aspired to be. I wanted to be Maverick from my all-time favorite movie, Top Gun. After this phenomenal movie hit the theaters and shattered box office records, almost every teenager I knew wanted to be an ace pilot. And 35 years later, when the sequel came out in 2022, I once again felt like owning the sky. But this time around, I didn't want to be Top Gun's Maverick. I had a new hero, and his name was the great Indralal Roy, the first and the only Indian flying officer in the British Air Force to be labelled as Ace. The start of World War I saw 1.3 million Indians fight in every war zone of this conflict. There have been numerous stories of bravery and valor on display by the Indian soldiers, but none was as spectacular as the story of Indralal, aka Laddie Roy. Laddie was no ordinary pilot. He ruled the skies of Europe like no other, before or after him. Now, if you're wondering why Indralal Roy was referred in colloquial British speak as Laddie, you need to sit tight and hang in there. Maybe throw in a helmet or two. We'll get to that in just a bit. In this episode, we will transport you back to the legend of Indralal Roy, the first and the only Indian flying officer in the British Air Force to have been bestowed with the title of an ace. From Caprino Studio, this is A Road Less Travelled, a podcast that seeks to dig deep into our collective archives to take you on a journey to show you how stories about India, Indians, and foreigners that are relatively unknown and underappreciated have changed and impacted our lives, society, and culture. Come along with us as we seek to hold your hands and travel through this amazing journey, paired with our own brand of unique storytelling, thoughtful music, and sound design to inspire, engage, and entertain you. If we have crossed paths before, a warm welcome back to you. For those who are new, there is only one way to get to know us and the stories. Get stuck right in and join us as we sail through this adventure together. Let's get started, shall we? I'm your host, Arun Sridhar. Around 8 kilometers north of Borishal district in Bangladesh lies the Lakutia Zamindar Bari, a massive abandoned house which is around 400 years old. This house is steeped in nostalgia and history and is a sight to behold for many history buffs and the crazy Ghostbuster gangs who always love a good scare. Prior to India's partition, the Roy family was a prominent Zamindar family of East Bengal. The Lakutia Zamindar estate was founded by Roop Chandra Roy in the late 17th century. Indralal Roy's nephew, Subroto Mukherjee, went on to serve as a fighter pilot in World War II and later became the first Indian Chief of Air Staff of the Indian Air Force. Born in Calcutta, Indralal Roy, who was nicknamed Laddie, was the second son of Pieralal Roy and Lolita Roy. His father was a barrister and director of public prosecutions. When Laddie was only 3 years old, his family moved out to London along with his 5 siblings. His older brother, Pareshlalal Roy, served in the 1st Battalion, Honourable Artillery Company, and later became known as the father of Indian boxing. His maternal grandfather, Dr. Surjo Kumar Godev Chakrabarti, was one of the first Indian doctors to be trained in Western medicine. And if you're interested in trivia, did you know that one of the pioneers of Indian media and the former head of NDTV, Prannoy Roy, is Indralal Roy's grandnephew? Indralal, the hero of our story, however, truly defined the world maverick through the life that he lived. Now, let's get back to World War I. When World War I broke out, Indralal was only 15. He was a student at St. Paul's School for Boys in London. As soon as Indralal turned 18, he decided to enlist for the Royal Flying Corps. But alas, his initial journey was anything but spectacular. If anything, it was marred by a series of dramatic setbacks. The RFC rejected his application on the basis of his poor eyesight. But Indralal had his heart set on joining the Royal Flying Corps. He went and took a second opinion from a leading eye specialist, which helped in getting his rejection overturned. He was inducted into the Royal Flying Corps and was shipped out to serve as part of No. 56 Squadron in France. During a sortie, Indralal crash-landed his SE-5A fighter and was knocked unconscious. When he was found, he was limp and motionless. Everybody around him, especially the medics, thought that Indralal was dead and his body was transferred to a morgue. The morgue attendant was listing his corpses, and when he passed by Laddie's corpse, a hand suddenly grabbed him hard and refused to let go. The attendant, who was so used to being the only living person amidst the dead, was not used to this. Terrified shrieks emanated and all hell broke loose. Backup arrived, and when it was finally ascertained that it was indeed Indralal and not some flesh-eating zombie, that Laddie was finally allowed to go, but not before duly confirming that he was not in rigor mortis. Now, that was something, wasn't it? Why am I telling you about this funny incident? Because these kinds of setbacks would have knocked the wind out of mere mortals. But Indralal Roy wasn't one of them. In his heart and his mind, he was already a flying officer. While recuperating, Indralal carried on drawing sketches of different aircrafts. Some of these hand-drawn sketches have stood the test of time and survived. If you want to catch a glimpse, run down to the Indian Air Force Museum in Delhi, where they are on display. Once he had fully recovered, Indralal was cleared to fly and return to active service in June of 1918. He was now posted to No. 40 Squadron under the aegis of Irish Flight Commander Captain George McIlroy. This Irish-Indian pair took over the French skies by storm and lorded over it as part of the newly formed Royal Air Force. But little did Laddie know what fate had in store for him. The month that would follow would change his life in the most incredible yet tragic way. In a span of just 15 days, somewhere between July 6th and the 19th, Indralal amassed 10 air combat victories, including 3 in a single day in just under 4 hours. 3 of these victories came against a German Fokker D-7, which was considered to be one of the best and formidable combat aircraft of World War I. Indralal's natural flying talent and his command over the skies was the reason for this incredible feat. For a pilot to be credited an ace, they would have to destroy 5 or more enemy aircrafts. If you have no idea what that implies, here's the lowdown. To be an ace is something even veteran pilots find impossible to achieve throughout their entire careers. Yet, Indralal Roy achieved this in just under 2 weeks at the tender age of 18. Naturally, he was the toast of the Royal Air Force, and no one shone as bright as him. But as they say, what goes up must come down, and the faster it goes up, the faster it comes down. This saying was true of Indralal's fate. Just 3 days after his victorious combat, when Laddie took off for routine patrol, he was attacked by 4 Fokker D-7s. Sadly, despite all his valiant efforts, his SC-5A was shot down. At that time, Indralal was just 4 months short of his 20th birthday. The remains of his body were carried on the shoulders of men far older than him. That day, there wasn't a single person who didn't shed a tear when the great Laddie Roy was buried in the Estwell's communal cemetery. Indralal Roy was awarded a posthumous Distinguished Flying Cross for his heroic. His achievements have stood the test of time and finds a place in the annals of the Indian Air Force history. The name Laddie, which roughly translates to little boy, was given to Indralal by his mother, Lolita Roy. But in the life that he lived in those brief 19 years, there was nothing little about India's Laddie. He went down in a blaze of glory and will forever be the Lord of the Skies. You've just listened to a Caprino studio production. Our stories were written and edited with the valuable help of Bhattacharya. The impeccable compositions that you listened to were performed by Dr.ShivaShankar, and the sound design was done by myself and our wonderful sound engineer, Mr. Swaminathan ThiruGnanaSambandam. Look up our show notes and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and ensure you get all the updates on our WhatsApp channel. We will see you soon with more stories. Until then, stay well.